Taiwan's annual Han Kuang military exercise is now in its third day. A major part of the exercise is drills featuring the country's military aircraft. For more on those, our defense reporter Jaime Ocon joins us live from our newsroom in Taipei. Jaime, what's the latest with these exercises?
That's right. So Han Kuang is pretty much a practice run for how Taiwan would defend against an all-out invasion from China. And a big part of that is practicing how to best utilize Taiwan's fighter jets. So we're now getting more updates from the military as well as new footage from the Air Force, which shows a variety of different fighter jets taking off and leaving to other bases that are in different parts of the country around Taiwan. The military says that's part of a force preservation plan, basically trying to protect as many of its fighter jets as possible. That's a pretty standard part of the country's overall defense strategy, where we'll see fighter jets that are on the west coast, so the side that's closer to China, they'll fly to the east to cities like Hualien and to Taidong, away from a potential front line and from the safety of the Central Mountain region. Specifically, one base in Hualien, Jiasan Air Force Base, can reportedly hold up to 300 fighter jets alone inside the mountains where the base is located. Now, for more on this, I spoke to Lauren Dickey. She's a non-resident senior fellow at the China Power Project based in Washington, D.C. And I asked her, what is it specifically about this drill that's so significant for Taiwan?
So you don't want to have all of your crown jewels of anything in one location. And so whether that's dispersing them across the F-16 fleet in this case or other aircraft, dispersing them across the island, or dispersing them even beyond the island, just getting them off of Taiwan and flying them in the airspace to the east of Taiwan, for instance, in a crisis, that gives them some flexibility to not be basically stationary targets that could be seen or tracked by the PRC otherwise.
Looking at the war in Ukraine, which Taiwan's military says it's taking lessons from, what do you think we can learn specifically about the Air Force?
I think if there's one thing that we should all be disavowed of after Ukraine is the notion that an Air Force can just be rendered moot by a superior adversary or an adversary that outnumbers or outqualifies your own Air Force, right? The Ukrainians figured out how to use their Air Force, their fixed wing Air Force, to effect against Russia in a very geographically confined, probably electromagnetically complex warfight, right? And if Ukraine can figure that out, I think that we should probably stop saying that Taiwan won't have an Air Force. To me, it's really a question of how do we make that Air Force as potent and survivable as possible for as long as we can, in the opening days and weeks of any conflict.
Now, as Han Kuang continues, more and more military equipment and soldiers will start to make their way into the streets of major cities across Taiwan. And so the military has issued a statement apologizing if there's going to be any inconvenience for people that are here in Taiwan.
Thanks for that update, Jaime. That was Jaime Ocon live from our newsroom in Taipei.